Outside his home, fans also gathered quietly, but they respected his space. They didn't shout or demand to see him. Instead, they left flowers and cards. One card simply read, "Thank you for reminding us to care." People around the world kept talking about the impact of Keanu's quiet actions. One TV host said, "In a world where so much is loud and fast, Keanu chose to walk slowly and kindly." That's why this story has touched so many hearts. A famous writer even shared a comment saying, "Keanu Reeves teaches us that the greatest stories are sometimes not the ones we watch in movies, but the ones we live in real life, through small acts of love and care." Through all of this, Keanu still hadn't returned to the spotlight, but his absence felt meaningful. It showed that he didn't need applause or attention. His kindness was real, and that was enough. Many people began calling this time the Week of Kindness, saying that Keanu's simple walk had created a wave of goodness across the world. Charities reported higher donations than ever before. Shelters saw more volunteers. Ordinary people were doing quiet acts of kindness in their own neighborhoods, inspired by what Keanu had done. Even children were affected. Schools shared the story with students, encouraging them to be kind like Keanu. Some students wrote letters to shelters saying they wanted to help. Others drew pictures showing Keanu walking under the stars, carrying food and smiling gently. By the end of the day, it was clear that Keanu's walk at 3 a.m. had become much more than a mystery. It had become a symbol, a reminder that we can all choose kindness, no matter who we are. And even though Keanu hadn't spoken publicly, he had already said so much through his quiet journey. His simple, peaceful walk through the night had left a lasting message in the hearts of millions. Kindness needs no spotlight. Days passed, but people still talked about Keanu Reeves and his mysterious walk at 3 a.m. The story was no longer just about a missing car or a missing actor. It had become something much bigger. People around the world felt touched by what Keanu had done. Many said it felt like he had reminded everyone about kindness and humility. At a time when the world needed it most, even though Keanu had stayed silent and away from the cameras, his actions spoke louder than any words. People were donating to shelters, volunteering, and helping strangers in honor of him. Some wrote messages like, "Keanu's quiet walk showed us the power of caring without asking for anything back." But as the days went on, fans and reporters still wondered, when would Keanu return? Would he ever explain why he left his car and walked through the night? Then one afternoon, without warning, something unexpected happened. Keanu's car was quietly returned to his home. It was clean and undamaged, just as he had left it. There were no cameras around at that moment, no reporters waiting. It was as if Keanu had planned it that way to avoid attention. A neighbor who noticed the car said, "He must have come back early in the morning, before anyone could see him. He's private like that. He doesn't want a big scene." Soon after, Keanu's representative shared a short message from him. It was simple but meaningful. The message read, "Thank you for the kind thoughts and messages. I'm well and appreciate the love and respect. Sometimes we all need quiet moments to reflect and help where we can. I hope everyone takes time to care for each other." This small message touched many hearts. It showed that Keanu had seen all the love people had shown him, and he was thankful. But he still didn't explain much about where he had gone or what exactly he had done. That was part of the beauty of this story. He left some things a mystery, allowing people to focus on the kindness rather than the details. Fans around the world reacted with even more respect. They said, "Keanu didn't make this about himself. He made it about what we can all do to be better." Even reporters stopped chasing the story. They realized that the best ending was no ending at all, just a quiet reminder that kindness happens quietly. And that was enough. Outside the shelter Keanu had visited, a small sign was placed near the entrance. It read, "In honor of a quiet visitor, Thank you for reminding us that kindness is powerful." Inside, donations continued to pour in. Volunteers came from far and wide, saying they were inspired by Keanu's journey. One volunteer said, "He didn't ask for attention. That's why this feels so special. He helped because he cares, not because he wanted to be seen." Around Los Angeles and in many places across the world, people started doing small acts of kindness. They helped neighbors, donated food, listened to people who felt lonely, and cared for others without expecting thanks. Some even called it the Keanu effect, the idea that simple, quiet kindness could spread from one person to another, changing the world in small but meaningful ways. Keanu himself stayed out of the spotlight. He didn't do interviews or post anything more about that night. He went back to living his life quietly, just as he had before. But his quiet night walk at 3 a.m. would not be forgotten. For many fans, this story became a legend. They said he could have stayed in his car, he could have gone to a fancy place, but he chose to walk through quiet streets and help people who needed it most. That says everything about who he is. Parents told their children about what Keanu had done. Teachers shared the story in classrooms, saying, "You don't have to be famous to help others. You just have to care like Keanu did." Even though Keanu never gave a full explanation about that night, the truth was clear. It wasn't about why he left his car or where he went. It was about the way he lived his life with kindness, humility, and respect for others. As time passed, the place where his car had been found became a quiet spot where people would stop, not just to take photos but to reflect. Some would sit there and think about how they could help others in their own small ways. It became a symbol, a reminder that sometimes the simplest acts, done without noise or cameras, can inspire many. In the end, Keanu Reeves had done something few celebrities ever do. He turned a moment of mystery into a moment of meaning. He walked away from fame, cameras, and crowds, not because he was lost, but because he wanted to find something deeper: peace, kindness, and human connection. And in doing so, he had quietly touched the hearts of millions, leaving behind a story that would be remembered not as a scandal or a mystery, but as a beautiful lesson about the power of quiet kindness. The next day, even though Keanu Reeves had not appeared publicly, people continued talking about him everywhere. The story of his abandoned car and his quiet walk through the city had become a topic of conversation all around the world. Newspapers, TV stations, and online platforms kept discussing every detail. But now, the conversation was different. People were not just curious, they were inspired. Fans, reporters, and ordinary people began following Keanu's path, retracing his steps, from where he left his car at 3 a.m. to the small shelter he might have visited. Along this path, they stopped and talked to people who might have seen him. A shopkeeper said, "Keanu nodded and smiled at me as he walked past. I didn't recognize him at first because he looked so simple, so quiet." Another witness, an old man sitting on a bench, said, "He paused near me for a moment, looking at the sky. He seemed peaceful. I didn't want to disturb him. He just seemed like he was enjoying a quiet night." These stories painted a clear picture of Keanu's journey, a peaceful walk, far away from cameras, noise, and attention. People realized that this journey was special. Keanu was not running away. He was choosing to walk through ordinary streets, meeting ordinary people, and showing kindness along the way. Meanwhile, the homeless shelter near where he was last seen started receiving phone calls and donations from all over the world. People wanted to help, inspired by the idea that Keanu cared about this place. Donations of food, clothes, and money arrived at the shelter's doors. Many people wrote notes that said, "We're helping because Keanu helped." At the same time, reporters kept trying to learn more about Keanu's connection to the shelter. One reporter found out that Keanu had first visited the shelter many years ago, after filming a movie nearby. At that time, he had quietly walked in, asked what they needed, and returned later with supplies. He never asked for attention or recognition. Over the years, he kept visiting, always quietly, always with kindness. This side of Keanu Reeves made people admire him even more. He wasn't just an actor on the big screen. He was a man who cared about people who had nothing. He treated everyone with respect, whether they were a movie star or a person living on the streets. On social media, fans started calling Keanu the quiet hero. Posts said things like, "He doesn't need to post about his good deeds, he just does them." Many people began sharing their own plans to volunteer at shelters or help people in need, saying they were motivated by Keanu's actions. But even with all this admiration, one question remained unanswered. Where was Keanu now? His representatives had said he was safe and just wanted some quiet time, but no one had seen him since that night. Some thought he might be hiding at a friend's house. Others believed he had taken a short trip away from Los Angeles. But there was no clear answer. Reporters set up cameras outside the shelter and near his home, hoping to catch a glimpse of him. They asked neighbors and friends, but no one shared any information. Keanu's privacy was being protected, not just by his friends, but by ordinary people too. Even the people at the shelter refused to say anything. They respected him too much to share details. In the midst of all this, something unexpected happened. People who usually didn't care much about Hollywood celebrities started paying attention to this story. They said Keanu's actions reminded them that fame doesn't have to change a person. Some said, Keanu shows that you can be famous and still be kind, humble, and caring. Others wrote online, this isn't about a missing star anymore. This is about remembering that we all can do something good, even if no one is watching. The story even reached schools. Teachers told students about Keanu's quiet kindness. They explained how important it is to help others, not for attention, but simply because it's the right thing to do. Children drew pictures of Keanu walking down the street, smiling and helping people. They wrote letters saying, "Thank you, Keanu, for showing us how to be kind." Meanwhile, the empty spot where his car had first been found had become a small memorial. People continued visiting, leaving candles, flowers, and handwritten notes. Some notes said things like, "You reminded us to care for others," and "Your walk meant more than you know." By evening, fans online shared one more beautiful message. Keanu's walk through the night has become a walk that we all share. Now, it's a reminder that even in a busy world, we should take time to think about others. Keanu Reeves had not spoken publicly yet. He had not explained why he chose that night to leave his car and walk through quiet streets. But maybe he didn't need to explain. His actions spoke louder than words. His peaceful journey had already touched hearts everywhere, turning what first looked like a mystery into something much more meaningful. The world was still waiting for his return. But in the meantime, people felt changed by what he had done. Keanu had reminded everyone that sometimes a simple walk can inspire kindness across the whole world. While the world waited for Keanu Reeves to return, something beautiful was happening. People everywhere felt inspired by his quiet walk and acts of kindness. Strangers who had never met Keanu were donating to shelters in his name. Some were volunteering at food banks for the first time. Social media was full of posts saying things like, "Keanu reminded us that helping others matters, and his walk has touched my heart." But still, no one had seen Keanu himself. Where was he now? Reporters stayed outside his home and near the shelter, waiting for a glimpse. Cameras were ready, but Keanu remained out of sight. His friends and neighbors stayed quiet, respecting his privacy. The police confirmed again that there was no crime, no danger, and that Keanu was simply choosing to stay out of the spotlight for now. Then, late in the evening, a surprising detail came out. A worker from a different shelter, one far from the city, quietly shared a story. She said that very early that morning, A man who looked exactly like Keanu Reeves had come to their shelter. He didn't say who he was. He wore a hat, simple clothes, and carried a backpack. He had brought several bags of groceries and quietly helped serve breakfast to the homeless. The worker said. He was polite and kind. He didn't want any attention. He just asked how he could help. After breakfast, he stayed to clean up, washing dishes and wiping tables. When asked if she was sure it was Keanu, the worker smiled and said, "I'm not sure, but I think so." He didn't say his name, but he looked exactly like him and had that gentle way about him. This new story spread fast. People realized that Keanu wasn't hiding. He was continuing his quiet acts of kindness, but far away from the cameras and the noise. He was living in a way that felt right to him, helping people without needing anyone to notice. Fans felt even more touched. Many shared online that Keanu's actions had made them think about their own lives. One person wrote, "I always thought kindness had to be a big thing, but Keanu shows us that small, quiet kindness matters too." Another said, "His walk that night has changed how I see the world. I'm going to help more, even if no one knows." Reporters began calling this journey Keanu's path of kindness. They said that while most celebrities chased fame and attention, Keanu had chosen something different. He had walked through ordinary streets, met ordinary people, and showed extraordinary care. But even though his kindness was inspiring people everywhere, some still wished they could hear from Keanu himself. They wanted to know what was in his heart that night. Why did he leave his car at 3 a.m.? Why did he choose that moment to walk alone and help quietly? His representative stayed silent, saying only that Keanu was safe and thankful for everyone's concern. They said he would speak when he was ready, but that he valued his privacy and peace for now. In the meantime, the places Keanu had visited became special to many fans. People began visiting the shelter where he had been seen, not to take pictures, but to donate, help, or just say thank you. They left notes there too, saying things like, "Because of Keanu, I want to help, and this shelter feels like a place where kindness lives now." While the world was busy guessing where Keanu Reeves had gone, a new clue appeared that made the mystery even bigger. Investigators worked hard all day, and finally, they shared some surprising information. Security cameras in a different part of the city showed Keanu walking quietly just after 3:30 a.m. He had left his car far behind and was now miles away, walking calmly through a quiet street where no one else was around. He didn't look like someone in trouble. He wore simple clothes, a plain jacket, jeans, and a small backpack. His steps were slow but steady. His head was down, as if he was thinking deeply. The footage showed him turning into a small path that led to an old neighborhood. This was not a fancy part of town. This was a place where working people lived, far from the bright lights of Hollywood. Reporters rushed to that area, hoping to find someone who had seen Keanu. They knocked on doors and asked people if they noticed a famous actor walking down their street in the middle of the night. Finally, an older woman said yes. "I saw him," she told them. "He walked right past my house. He looked peaceful, not scared or sad. I thought maybe he lived nearby, so I didn't think much of it." This news surprised everyone. Why would a Hollywood star like Keanu Reeves walk through this old neighborhood alone at night? What was he doing here? Was he visiting someone? Reporters stayed in the area, talking to more people. A young man who worked at a nearby gas station said, "Keanu stopped by for a minute. He didn't buy anything. He just smiled at me and said good evening. Then he kept walking." The police and the public started tracing his steps from camera to camera. They followed his path as he walked deeper into the neighborhood. Soon they discovered something touching. A few blocks away from where he was last seen was a small homeless shelter. It was not a famous shelter. In fact, most people didn't even know it was there. But the staff at the shelter knew Keanu very well. A worker at the shelter told a reporter, Keanu has been coming here quietly for years. He never made a big deal about it. No cameras, no reporters. He would bring food, clothes, sometimes money. He always helped without asking for anything back. We don't tell people because he likes to stay private. He's a good man. This revelation changed everything. Suddenly, the story wasn't about a mystery anymore. It was about kindness. People started thinking that maybe Keanu had walked all that way to visit this shelter again. Maybe he left his car behind on purpose because he wanted some peace and quiet on his way. The public's view of the situation shifted. Instead of worrying that Keanu was in trouble, many now felt moved by his possible act of kindness. Fans online shared heartwarming stories about times Keanu had helped strangers. Some remembered when he gave up his seat for someone on a subway. Others talked about how he often spoke gently to fans and took time to take pictures with them. Reporters tried to get answers from the staff at the shelter, but the workers respected Keanu's privacy. They wouldn't say whether he was inside. At that moment, "Keanu likes to do good things quietly," one staff member said. "We don't want to ruin that." Even so, this new detail made people love him even more. Fans said, "He's truly one of a kind." Others posted online, "While other stars are busy showing off their riches, Keanu is quietly helping people in need." By late evening, cameras captured a few more witnesses saying they had seen Keanu sitting quietly on a bench near the shelter. One woman said he seemed happy, just looking up at the sky and listening to the sounds of the night. He wasn't hiding, he was simply enjoying a peaceful moment in a place far away from flashing cameras. Police said again that they had no reason to believe Keanu was in danger. They confirmed that he had left his car safely and locked it properly. They now believe that this was Keanu's choice, that he just wanted a quiet night, maybe to clear his mind. Maybe to visit people he cared about quietly. Still, fans continued to gather near the street where his car had been found. Candles, flowers, and notes covered the spot. Messages read, "Thank you for being you, Keanu, and you inspire us with your kindness." At the same time, outside the small shelter, a few fans and reporters gathered too. But out of respect for the place, they stayed quiet. They didn't want to disturb the people inside, or Keanu himself if he was there. The mood had changed. This wasn't a scary mystery anymore. This was becoming a beautiful story about a man who didn't care about fame or attention. He cared about kindness. People everywhere felt touched. Many even said they would donate to their local shelters in honor of Keanu. Keanu Reeves had walked away from the noise of Hollywood that night, but he was now in the hearts of people all around the world. And even though no one had seen him leave the shelter yet, his quiet walk had already made a loud impact on everyone. As night fell again in Los Angeles, the city was still buzzing with questions about Keanu Reeves. News channels were running stories all day. Social media was full of posts, photos, and comments about his mysterious walk through the city. But as more information came out, the mood began to change. People were no longer thinking this was something bad. Instead, they felt inspired. Keanu had quietly walked for miles at night, passing by streets where no one expected to see a Hollywood star. He had stopped at a gas station, smiled at a worker, and kept going. He had passed through neighborhoods far from the rich and famous areas. And finally, he had ended up near a small homeless shelter, a place where he was known and loved, but where his visits had always been private. Reporters were still waiting outside the shelter, hoping to catch a glimpse of him, but Keanu was nowhere to be seen. Some wondered if he was inside, spending time with people who needed help. Others thought maybe he had already left, quietly slipping away without anyone noticing. Inside the shelter, the staff kept their promise of silence. They didn't reveal anything about Keanu's visit. They respected him, and they knew that he didn't come for attention. He came because he cared. One worker, when asked about Keanu, simply smiled and said, He's been here for years, helping. US when no one was looking. This story touched people around the world. Fans started sharing their own memories of Keanu's kindness. One fan wrote online, "Years ago, I met him at a coffee shop. I was having a terrible day, and he just sat down and listened to me. He didn't have to, but he did." Another said, "I saw him once in New York, giving money to a homeless man and talking to him like an old friend." The more people learned about Keanu's quiet acts of kindness, the more they admired him. In a world full of celebrities who often show off their lives on social media, Keanu was different. He didn't post pictures of himself doing charity work. He didn't ask for praise. He just helped, quietly and with a good heart. Back at the shelter, some of the people who stayed there spoke softly to reporters outside. One man said, "Keanu treats us like we matter. He doesn't look down on us. He talks to us, listens to us, and sometimes just sits with us. He brings food, clothes, and sometimes even books. He makes us feel human." This kind of respect and care was rare, and it made the story even more powerful. People watching on TV and reading online felt moved. Many promised to donate to their local shelters, saying they were inspired by Keanu's example. But there was still one big question. Where was Keanu now? No one had seen him leave the shelter, but he was not inside anymore. It was as if he had appeared just to do a good deed, and then disappeared into the night again. Some believe this was exactly what he wanted to remind people of the importance of kindness and compassion, but without making it about himself. He didn't need cameras, applause, or awards. He simply wanted to help. The next day, the police confirmed that they had closed their investigation. They said there was no crime, no danger, and no reason to worry. Keanu Reeves had left his car safely and walked away by choice. He was not missing. He just wanted some peace. His representatives finally shared a short message to the public. It read, "Keanu appreciates everyone's concern. He is safe and well. Sometimes he likes to take quiet walks and reflect. Thank you for respecting his privacy." This small message brought relief to fans all over the world, but it also made them respect him even more. Many said, "Keanu is truly special. He doesn't live for fame. He lives with kindness." As this news spread, people started calling this story the Night of Kindness. It wasn't just about a missing celebrity anymore. It was about a man who chose to walk away from the noise and quietly spend time helping others. Many people shared online how this story had made them think about their own lives. One woman wrote, "This made me realize how important it is to care for people who are struggling. If someone as famous as Keanu can take the time to visit a shelter, maybe we can too." The next evening, a few fans gathered near the spot where his car had been found. They left flowers, candles, and thank you notes. One note said, "You reminded us that kindness still matters." Another read, "You're more than an actor, you're an example for all of us." Keanu didn't return to pick up his car right away, but it didn't matter. The car was no longer the focus. His quiet journey had touched hearts around the world. This was no longer a mystery to solve, it was a story to remember. And as night fell again, many people in Los Angeles and beyond felt inspired to walk their own quiet paths of kindness, just like Keanu. It was a quiet night in Los Angeles. The streets were empty, the sky dark, and the clock showed 3 a.m. At this late hour, most people were asleep. But one man, walking his dog, noticed something unusual on a small road near the hills. A shiny black car stood alone, parked in an odd place. The man stopped, looking carefully. The windows were down and no one was inside. As he stepped closer, his heart beat faster. This was not just any car, it was a luxury vehicle. He bent down and looked at the license plate. His eyes widened in shock. This was Keanu Reeves's car. What was it doing here, abandoned in the middle of the night? The man quickly took out his phone and snapped a photo. In minutes, the picture was online, spreading fast. People on social media couldn't believe it. Keanu Reeves's car, left alone at 3 a.m.? Where was Keanu? Was he hurt? Had something happened to him? The comments came fast, full of worry and wild ideas. Someone said maybe Keanu had been kidnapped. Another said maybe he was hiding from fame, needing time away from Hollywood. Some joked that maybe he was filming a secret scene for a new movie. But no one really knew the truth that soon. A few more people came to see the car for themselves. A young woman live-streamed from the scene, showing the empty driver's seat. "Look at this," she whispered to her viewers. "His keys aren't here. There's no damage to the car. This is so strange." As the video spread online, more curious people arrived, shining lights into the car, searching around it. But there were no clues. Nothing was broken, nothing stolen. It was like Keanu Reeves had simply stopped his car, stepped out, and disappeared into the night. By 4 a.m., the police arrived. They examined the car carefully, looking for any signs of a crime. Officers checked the doors, windows, and the road. Nearby, everything seemed normal. The car was locked. There was no note, no clue left behind. The officers spoke quietly among themselves, puzzled. Where had the famous actor gone? Why would he leave his expensive car parked on this lonely road? A few blocks away, a security camera pointed down the street. Police decided to check the footage. They rewound the tape, watching closely, and then they saw it. Hours earlier, Keanu's car had pulled up to that very spot. The headlights turned off, and then Keanu stepped out. He looked calm, peaceful, wearing simple clothes. He closed the car door gently and locked it. Then he put a small backpack on his shoulder and started walking down the road. He didn't run. He didn't look scared. He just walked alone into the night. When the police showed this footage to reporters, it only made the mystery deeper. Why would a Hollywood star leave his car in the middle of nowhere and walk away like that? Reporters rushed to nearby houses, knocking on doors, asking if anyone had seen Keanu. One man said he thought he saw Keanu walking past, heading toward a quiet street with no shops or restaurants. He looked deep in thought, the man said. Not sad, not happy, just thinking. Back at the scene, fans continued to gather. Some brought candles, thinking maybe something bad had happened. Others just stood quietly, watching, waiting for news. One woman said, "This is so strange. Keanu is known for being kind and thoughtful. He wouldn't do this unless he had a reason." But what was that reason? The police towed the car away at dawn, but the questions remained. Online, thousands of people shared their own theories. One post suggested that maybe Keanu was visiting someone in secret. Another guessed that he was trying to help someone in need. Some even said that maybe he just needed a quiet walk, a moment to escape the noise of fame. By 6 a.m., news channels picked up the story. Keanu Reeves's car found abandoned at 3 a.m., one headline read. Another said, "Where is Keanu?" Mystery grows as fans search for answers. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Where did Keanu go, and why? As the sun rose over Los Angeles, the empty road where the car had been parked was now quiet again. But the city was wide awake, talking about nothing else. Keanu Reeves had always been a private person, but this was something new. This was not a movie. This was real life. And nobody knew what would happen next. After the discovery of Keanu Reeves's abandoned car at 3 a.m., the news spread fast. By morning, the internet was flooded with posts, videos, and wild stories. Everyone was talking about it. Where did he go? Was he okay? Why would a famous Hollywood actor leave his expensive car on a quiet road and disappear into the night? Social media platforms exploded with different theories. Fans and reporters shared photos of the car and the lonely street where it had been found. Some people said they were worried. Others made jokes. Maybe Keanu was on a secret mission. one tweet said. Another user posted, "This feels like a scene from John Wick, but it's real life." Memes started to appear, showing Keanu walking into the dark like a hero in one of his movies. As the morning hours passed, more curious people came to the area where the car had been parked. Even though the car had already been towed away, people stood around, taking pictures of the empty spot. A few fans lit candles and left small notes on the ground. One note read, "Wherever you are, Keanu, we hope you're safe." Reporters arrived quickly, asking questions to everyone nearby. They talked to people who lived on the street. A young man who lived in an apartment near the corner said, "I didn't hear anything strange last night. But around 3 a.m., I saw someone walking past my window. I thought it looked like Keanu. He was wearing simple clothes and a backpack. He looked calm, like he was just taking a walk." The media kept searching for clues. Helicopters flew over the city, filming live as reporters gave updates. Every TV station and website covered the story. Keanu Reeves's car found abandoned actor missing, the headline said. But no one really knew what was happening. Even Keanu's representatives stayed quiet. They didn't give any statements, which only made the mystery grow. Fans online started sharing old stories about Keanu's kind heart. People remembered the times he had given up his seat on the subway, or when he had helped strangers quietly without asking for thanks. Many wondered if this new event was connected to his good nature. "Maybe he's out there helping someone right now," a fan wrote. Another person said, "Keanu has always been different. Maybe this is his way of escaping the Hollywood life." For a while the world was busy guessing, police kept working. They checked cameras around the area. One video from a store camera showed Keanu walking past at 3:15 a.m. He didn't seem afraid or lost. He walked slowly, looking around, as if he was deep in thought. He didn't use his phone. He didn't look back at his car. It was like he was following a plan, but no one knew what that plan was. Paparazzi and reporters tried to follow any lead they could find. They visited Keanu's home, but he wasn't there. They asked his friends, but no one wanted to talk. His neighbors said they hadn't seen him for a day. A few reporters waited outside his favorite restaurants and cafes, hoping he would show up. But there was no sign of him. Meanwhile, more and more theories appeared online. Some people thought he was filming a secret movie project, and this was part of a marketing plan. Others believed he needed a break from fame and had gone off the grid to clear his mind. A few even suggested he might have gone to help someone in trouble, something that matched his kind and quiet personality. The story reached global news. People from different countries shared their own thoughts and prayers. "We love you, Keanu. Please be safe," one message from Brazil said. "Wherever you are, we support you," wrote another from Japan. It was clear that Keanu Reeves was not just a famous actor. He was loved around the world for his kindness and gentle soul. But as the day went on, no one still knew where he was. The police said there was no sign of a crime. They confirmed that Keanu had locked his car carefully and there was nothing suspicious inside. His wallet and keys were not found, which meant he took them with him. They said they would continue looking for him, but believed he might have just wanted some time alone. Many people felt both worried and inspired. They talked about how Keanu might have just needed to walk alone, without cameras, without fans, without anyone following him. Some said they understood. After all, being a Hollywood star can be hard. Even a kind person like Keanu needed peace sometimes. As night fell, reporters stayed busy outside his home and near the spot where his car had been found. Fans online promised to stay awake, waiting for news. Everyone was hoping he was safe and that he would soon appear. But no one knew when or where. Keanu's single quotes S disappearance was no longer just a Hollywood story. It was now a story that touched people's hearts around the world. People waited, wondered, and watched, asking the same. Question: where did Keanu go and why did he leave so quietly?